Well, good morning again. Sun is rising again. It's super cold out. We got an unexpected 6 inches of snow yesterday morning, and that was on top of the expected 6 inches of snow a couple days before the previous day. So it was great. That snow was like feathers, though. There was not much moisture to it, which is kind of unfortunate since water is always important here. But we're looking at a view of a part of the world where water is important, but because there's too much of it. Um, this is of an island out in the North Sea. The island doesn't really exist, but anyway, that's kind of roughly where this is placed. I just wanted to demo a couple of things this morning before we get going. The main goal this morning is to get the new tower belfry tracery in place, and I built it yesterday, and you can't really see too much, but there's something going on down here, as you can see. And this is the tower belfry tracery, which is just our perpendicular tracery for the west window here. So just some really simple 15th century tracery, but with some louvers in it as well. And there are two different versions because we've got two different versions of wall. And so I need to find a way to get those into the game. So that's kind of the main goal for today, is to start to try to figure out those, because they're different building systems. But once that's in the game, that's kind of, like I said, that's the main thing we're going to be working on. But first, I thought I'd show off a couple of things. One thing is I got the tracery rebuild animation a little bit smoother now. And Ava, if you're listening, I did make a GIF of it, but I'm going to put that GIF out on Saturday because I'm always kind of struggling sometimes to find things for Screenshot Saturday. So I'm going to tweet that out on Saturday, and hopefully Twitter will like it. I usually don't do GIFs. This one will be kind of fun, but anyway, it'll be a fun thing. But I want to just show that I got that tracery smoothed out a little bit, the rebuilding of it at least. So let's let the game fire up here. So I did a few things yesterday, and some things were working yesterday and this morning. I haven't changed anything, but now they're not working. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. There's our piece of tracery. It should have a little star burst twinkle on it happening right now, but it takes a long time. I also tried to work with the lighting here. You notice there's a slight change in lighting. Tried to fix that and ran into the fun Unity problem of only having 4 layers in deferred rendering that ignore lighting. So I got to figure that out. Also, there really should be a little preview icon of this piece of tracery. It should be right here, and it was working yesterday. Don't know why it's not working now. Also, I ran into the crashing problem, but I don't know what caused the crash. So there's a lot of things to kind of consider today. But here's our tracery, option 1. Option 2, we'll go back down to option 1 because everybody likes that. We'll click on the rebuild, and there it goes, nice and slow, fragment by fragment. You don't get the kind of pop-in that you used to get. So that's good, and if the system's not going to crash, which would be lovely if it didn't crash, let's try to keep rebuilding here because I want to kind of preview where we're headed today. So we got to rebuild the whole tower. And let's rebuild that. Oh, see, there we go. So there was a little problem there. Who knows why? Okay, we picked that up. We've got to rebuild the tower. I've got to build that stair turret at some point. Got to get the stair turret in the game. I always forget about that. And we go out a little bit further. We can see the tower's built. This is what I'm talking about. This part right here, this empty window space here, it needs to be filled with tracery and then filled with some louvers, because that's how the sound of bells in a bell tower get out, as they come out through the tracery and the louvers. So that's what we need before the game completely crashes. We'll stop this, and again, I don't know what's causing the crash, but so anyway, that's what we're looking at. There's a few bugs and glitches. I need to actually still finish off this part of the tower and think about these buttresses and things like that. But for now, we're going to try to get the tracery fragments in there. So we got that bottom tracery going. So at least we're somewhere with tracery. The other thing I kind of wanted to show off, which is a little bit of fun, is I wanted to show this off. So I've been experimenting with weather. And we do that really nice and slowly for dramatic effect. Fog. So, because this is an island, small island in the ocean, I thought fog would be a good thing to maybe have appearing sometimes in the scenes. It's got no gameplay purpose whatsoever. It's just simply kind of literally part of the atmosphere. So I read an article on depth-based fog shaders for another game. It was on Gamasutra sometime last week. And my apologies for who wrote it because I can't remember who did. But this is a depth-based fog shader, and I already had a depth-based shader that I built copying the Roy Stan water shader, the Toon water shader, which does a big depth thing. And so it wasn't too hard to adapt that to work as fog. So yeah, so we've got a fog shader now. So a little bit of weather, we can make that fog really thick. We can make it really thin if we want, and we can make it really thick as well. So yeah, so this isn't volumetric fog at all. This is just simply a plane. It's just this plane here. And this plane here always seems to appear in the background, and that's because of its draw order. But anyway, yeah, it's just a plane, which is really great because it's a lot more efficient. And it just uses the camera depth buffer to blend between an opaque color and a transparent color. So not too much trouble. But what that means, what's really great about that is in that article on Gamasutra, they were showing off. So let's get down to here. So they were showing off how intersections between the fog and other objects, if you do this kind of depth-based transparency, you don't get a hard seam if you have, like, you know, let's just make some ground fog here. So like, let's move it sort of, let's think about this. So here's some ground fog. We decrease the depth there. So look, so there we've got some ground fog. But you're not noticing really the intersections where the fog plane intersects the other geometry in the scene, which is really cool. And I'll show you what that looks like. This is what it would look like if we didn't have this alpha fade. So you would get these really harsh edges where that plane intersects objects. But instead, it goes away completely. And that's pretty cool. So thank you, Gamasutra. Thank you, whoever it was who wrote this little trick. In hindsight, it seems really obvious now, but I'm glad they went through all the work to do it, because now I have some really cool fog. So the idea about fog and all that kind of stuff in the game is that I'm just going to have some, it's not really procedural, but kind of some random weather. I've got snow in here. It's not really great snow, but it's enough to suggest snow. And I've now got some fog, and that'll be enough to suggest fog. And then the big background plane that is our beautiful blue sky, that can be desaturated at will, so that I can do just kind of rainy weather, that sort of thing. So I'm hoping to just have some weather as mood. Anyway, plus it's a new thing that I wanted to try out, and I like exploring sometimes more than working on the same old stuff I've been working on for a long time. So, just a few things to show off there. But we got to work on the belfry now. So, like I said, I've got the belfry tracery built and the louvers built, and it's two separate pieces. So there we go. We can see the tracery a little bit better there with its louvers inside. And there's two pieces of it. They look almost identical, and it's just, the difference is it's just the surrounding wall piece. There's one that's a little bit thinner. The thinner one goes on the west, north, and south sides, and the wider one bridges the gable the nave gable there on the east side. So I right now just have empty blocks sitting in the scene. I need to replace those blocks with these, and of course, like everything I've been doing, I need to jog my memory on how that's accomplished. So I need to find those first. So they're sitting in here somewhere in the tower area group. I've got stage 3. Those are the blocks. So let's grab the east one and see what it thinks it's doing. And let's see what it's referencing and all that kind of stuff. So its prototype is down here. Part of me is just wondering. Let me take a look here again. Sorry, I lost it again. There it is. Part of me is wondering if I can just swap the meshes out. If I can leave these game objects in scene and just swap it with the meshes. That would be pretty nice if I didn't have to just put in new game objects and reconfigure all the scripts and things and just did those meshes. That would be really nice. Let's find out if we can do that. So, Tower Stage 3, Belfry, East, Gothic. Let's do this one and just see what we can do. Let's find out what happens. This will be really interesting to see what works here. Let's go find its fractured object. That might be where we fall down here a bit. No, not really. Because this fragmented object, it doesn't have any fragments, it's just got the one. Maybe. Let's find out if I can just swap out that mesh. Okay, that mesh is swapped out. Yep, it's got itself as the fragment. Because this isn't actually a whole bunch of little pieces, because it's meant to be rebuilt with that polygon shader rather than with a lot of different pieces. So let's find out how that works. Okay. And then it's got to go to its whole object. And again, its whole objects mesh is this one. There might be a problem with vertex colors, but we'll see. Let's see what happens here. The whole thing will come crashing down, of course. And we've got to jump through the whole tower rebuilding, which is my fault. I could put a save point in here, but frankly the system's so kind of wobbly right now because so many of these systems are in pieces that I'm really not quite certain what that would do. So let's just rebuild the whole shooting match. We don't actually have to grab this, but we'll do it anyway. We'll build the perp one. Why not? There it goes. Nicely rebuilt. Build that. Build the stairs. Build that wall. Grab that object. Build that. Now to get a third wall, I have to build the boring stuff. Okay, here we go. Ooh, look at that. Look at that, everybody. Okay, the shading's completely off, so I've got to figure out a way to adjust the shading, but look at this. Yeah, that's my new tracery with the louvers and all of that. So I could just swap out the mesh. Like I said, I need to do something about this shading issue. But that's a good sign. That's a really good sign right there. Great. Potentially, that's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. But we'll find out if that's what's actually going to work. So let's go frame that section. Whole object behavior. It's got its vertex color adjust. It is multicolored. And that's not working. Oh, let's turn off the pre-populated part here. It's still not gonna grab my vert colors. So the problem with this is that this is a single mesh with multiple vert colors. And that's a problem. So we can see that it's got multiple vert colors because the louvers are a different color than the wall and the tracery. So I've got to figure out some way to get this shading error figured out. What do we do? Mesh is out of bounds. Just trying to think about what we might do here. I don't really understand why I need to put the object in the scene and then run my vertex color adjust script anyway to get the colors to kind of line up correctly. Never can quite figure that one out. Well, we'll have to go exploring here. So this one is sitting inside the tower holes, which is like 3,000, like 3 kilometers away from the main scene. Let's go stick this in and see what we can do. Okay. Let's throw the vert color adjust on this one. There. So that fixed it. Just putting it on there fixes it. Look at that. Okay, I'm just trying to see now if that somehow altered the mesh. All right, so the lighting's all fixed on this one. Maybe? Okay, let's turn this one off. We're going to try a little experiment here. That's the one we want. Turn that off, turn that back on. Nope, that's not going to work. All right, fine. Let's remove it. And then add it back in. Boom, that worked. Just simply removing it and adding it back in worked. Okay, good. Well, that's not so bad, is it? Let's delete this one. We don't need this one anymore. Okay, so I'm going to do the same for this now. I'm going to replace the mesh in here with my new mesh that has my tracery in place. All right, let's go. So its mesh needs to be the one that's not the east one. Okay, and the mesh is off and weird. So we get rid of the vertex color adjust component, and then we just simply add it back in. I don't know what's going on. Obviously I need to fix that. But there it is. It works great. Cool. Here's the protos. There's the fractured objects. Let's grab this one. Make sure that we're replacing it again. We may need to replace the vertex color adjusters on this as well. Okay, there it is. And our proto object. Also gets the mesh. All right. Let's save this out. And then build it again in the game view. So we're going to go through we're going to do the whole game building thing again. And we'll see what errors we get this time. So you can hear some snow removal devices. And it's also very cold here now, which is fun. I would really love to get the twinkle on this fragment piece to start immediately. And I'd love to figure out how to get the right sprite appearing there, because it was yesterday. All right, let's build the decorated one. I've got to work on the timing. I've got to work on all of this kind of rebuild animation timing. Like building the staircase, that's really fun, but some of the others are a little bit too slow, too uninteresting for my tastes. And then bang, that pops in. So this one was last time. This one was building really nicely as well. So we've got to figure out what's up with that. We've got to build this one and then this one. Okay. All right, east side. So we can see here that the tracery's in it. So that's good. See, we've got a lighting problem there on the fragment that rebuilds. That's okay, we can fix that. We know how to fix that now. But what's really delightful is that we have a complete tower now with louvers and tracery in the tower windows as well. That's exciting. I'm very, very pleased. And I've also got a little twinkle here that's not untwinkling. Good, so problems again. I think actually we're trying to call something that doesn't exist in the game right now. So that might be why that was a problem. I don't know, we're not getting any explicit errors, which is interesting. But that's okay. So we got to go into these, and we've got to pull the vertex color adjust script off of them and then put them back on again. So that's okay. At least I know it's just a matter of doing that once, and then we're okay. All right. That might have fixed it now. So one more go before, in the remaining 20 minutes or so that we have today, I go in and I try to troubleshoot some of the other issues. So the topsoil gets removed, that's lovely. The walls rebuild, that's a good deal of fun. I love this staircase. I don't love the way it switches like that. That's another thing on the gigantic to-do list. Get that twinkle going faster. That would be nice. Let's build some tracery. Pick up a capital. Build our tower arch. Figure out why that's popping into place. Build it. Build it. So there's actually a narrative branching point there that we just glazed over. Yeah, see? Look at that. Or just glossed over, we kind of silently went by. And that's part of our next steps. Yes, look at that. One complete tower, almost. So probably tomorrow I might try to build this stair turret here and finish that off, which would be really, really cool. And why we've got a bizarrely twinkling thing, I don't know. Hi, coin. Artifacts, fragments. Ugh. Alright. Look at that. That's pretty exciting. Okay, just for fun, before everything comes crashing down. Oh, it's so cool with fog. Oh, I like that with fog. I don't know why. That's exciting. Really neat to see with fog there. Yeah, that's really neat to see, actually. I don't know why. It's just, I think fog's so interesting. Yeah, maybe I might have to do something about that fog plane being so visible. And it's interesting to see how it works based on camera depth, that when we get kind of down on a grazing angle of the fog, that it really starts to monkey with the system. So it's not maybe a perfect effect, but that's kind of fun. Yeah, that one's really, really fun. I like that. So, pardon me while I do something here. I'm going to screenshot this guy. Okay, where are my options here? Where is my screen? Oh, there it is. It's off screen. Okay, so I'm going to just screenshot this one because I really like it, and I'll probably switch that up later, but the kind of tower in the fog is, I don't know. I like it. Okay, I'm very pleased with how this is working out. Very pleased. So yeah, the weather thing's a bit of vanity, and it will probably doubtless cause me infinite headaches later on in the game. But speaking of headaches in the game, let's go figure out what's wrong with the with that piece of tracery fragment not showing the right thing in the inventory when it gets selected. That's really odd. It's not really odd. It's totally par for the course for this, because I really did think it was working yesterday. So that's strange. So let's go look at our project here, because I updated the sprite sheet to include our tracery fragment. So let's go check to see that that updated sprite sheet did in fact stay in place. So here's our sprite sheet. There's our tracery fragment sprite. I know it's really hard to see in the tiny thumbnail down here in the lower right. But there it is, PC Tower West Wind Tracery. And I know that my database is reading it as well. Maybe it isn't. Let's check out the database. All right, back to the really fun database here. Okay, arcfrags. So its image name is 1K grid arcfrags underscore PC tower W win trace. And let's go confirm that that is indeed the name of it. 1K grid arch artifacts underscore PC tower west win trace. So that is correct. And I know that it's reading from the database because we're getting our correct text. So what's going on there? Let's go look at this. So what's the modified date and time on this one? December 16th, 7:10 a.m. Okay, that was yesterday, which is correct. Let's go look in the project here. Yesterday at 7:10 a.m. So this is the correct. Yeah, December 15th. Yeah, so this is the correct database. They're the same size, 20 kilobytes, all that kind of thing. So it is my correct version of the database. I wonder what's up with it, why it's not picking up this sprite. I don't need to add this sprite to anything, do I? I really did think it was working. We shall have to investigate. Okay, let's pause it. So the source image is just not getting loaded into that. Why is it not getting loaded in? Because look, there's the object image name. I'm seeing that's getting loaded into my inventory button. So I've got to tear apart. I've got to tear this script apart a little bit to try to figure out why it's not loading that. Very curious. Well, let's try to figure out what's going on. There goes the snow removal again. Okay, let's take a look here. What happens? Nothing much happens there. Got to look at the inventory manager. So fragment, add to inventory. That's fine. Okay, it's the frags populate right here, I think. So here's where we query the database. And we populate it with the results from the database, and that's fine. Where do I get the thumbnail image? Where does that go in here? Just trying to look through the script here to figure out where that image goes. Okay. This is where it loads the sprite, this line right here. So I need to figure out what this inventory sprites object is. Did I just not add it? All right, let's go into our utilities, inventory manager, inventory sprites. I think I just didn't add it to this. So maybe it wasn't working at all yesterday and I just thought it was because I was excited because I couldn't even remember how the sprite sheet, how to add a new sprite to the sprite sheet system was working. So maybe this is all I need to do. Maybe I just need to do that. Let's save it because I've been crashing Unity. All right, here we go. This sprites list is going to eventually get gigantic and I may not want to use a list. There goes my topsoil. Here comes the building. And here comes the sparkle. Finally. Hey, there it is. Success. There it is. Very good. Okay. And it's a lovely little piece of tracery fragment. Not bad. Okay. Good. All right, we've got that working. We've got the other piece in. We're doing pretty well. Okay, time to figure out this whole sprite twinkling thing. So that's over here. Item sparkle, one of my nicer named scripts. So what this should do, so these items have this little kind of Breath of the Wild-esque little twinkle on them, although it's not done as even remotely as good as Breath of the Wild because I don't know VFX. But anyway, this little thing twinkles away, and all it is simply doing is taking a little sprite, and it's an always facing the camera type of little 3D sprite object, and it's just taking this little star thing and scaling it up and down. So that's all it's doing. But the rate at which it kind of twinkles and scales up and down is kind of random, and it's based on between a 1 second. Let me think about this. The twinkle time, it's got a delay on it. And so I can understand why, because originally when it was starting up, and this little twinkle thing gets spawned. So there aren't a bunch of them in the scene at one time. I was trying to be efficient, and I think I'm probably just being desperately inefficient. which is as per usual for me. But originally it didn't have the on-enable function. So before yesterday, there was no on-enable in this script. And so what it would do is that the moment it got spawned, it would start doing its twinkling, but its twinkling has this delay right here. So that's why it wouldn't just like immediately start. So what I was hoping to do is I was hoping to have this on-enable run the moment it gets enabled, and it twinkles. There it is. So it runs once without any delay at all, and on the completion of that, it runs over and jumps into this loop here. But that doesn't look like that's happening anymore. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. So maybe on-enable is not the thing I want to do. Maybe I'm not understanding how on-enable works. And this may have something to do with why the second time this spawns on the capital block that's found, it doesn't actually twinkle at all because it gets stuck. So I'm going to set a debug point here. Okay, so this is just going to let me know that this object, that this on-enable function is going to run. Yeah, and then what am I going to, and I want to say, I'm going to set a few other things here. I'm going to set a little counter. It's going to be public for now. Okay, I'm going to watch this counter go up as well. Okay, and then I think I'm going to do this, which is going to really spam my debug console and slow things down, but we'll just do this temporarily. I just want to see if this loop is getting called at all. What's happening with the system? Jump back in here, let it compile. Let it run. This, I do have some methods to make this kind of startup time go a little bit quicker. Okay, let's see what happens now. Okay, it says it's calling it. And now it's finally appeared? Okay. So it called its on-enable. It's got its counter going once. And now it's calling its normal twinkle. And I can see that every time that completes, it goes up by 1. So here comes a twinkle. There it is. Here comes another twinkle. Okay, that's good. So all of those delays are happening, and that's fine. So I'm going to get rid of that. Let's keep rebuilding. And where is my capital? Okay. So there we can see, so this one's got some issues. And so this twinkle's going, see, its counter equals 2 now. Its on enable counter equals 2. So when it gets despawned, it's not, obviously it's not resetting anything. The object's not getting reset. And then this twinkle's still trying to happen while another one is trying to happen. I don't know. Where is that object now? Where's this twinkle? Part of the other problem here is that I don't quite know where this little twinkle object even exists. And it probably, that's because it exists here. So its on enable counter is at 2. Its scale size, let's see what happens if we just let it kind of run. So we can see this scale size, it's getting stuck. It's getting stuck in some very strange kind of loop here. Okay. Well, I'm not quite sure what to do about that. I think I'll have to think about that for a little while. So obviously the best thing to do is to call on disable, and when it's disabled we reset the counter. I mean, the counter doesn't do anything right now. So how is it supposed to scale? It's supposed to scale to the stretched final scale. Right, we're gonna have to run the, that's what we'll do. I think this stretched final scale thing is not running all the time. So what is our end scale? So that's the big one, so that's never getting adjusted. Times x-axis stretch and y-axis stretch. I don't even know what this stretched final scale thing is supposed to be doing, but let's reset it every time it gets enabled. Let's just see what merry chaos this will start for us. Okay, one more time, just to see what kind of chaos we create. And then we'll have to call it a day. Okay, good. Okay, that started twinkling a lot faster, and that's much more what I wanted. Okay, great. Let's keep rebuilding. rebuild that one. Oh, see, that worked so much better. It was already blinking, it's already twinkling, it's doing it correctly. That's what we wanted. Okay, we fixed it. That's a really good place to end on, having fixed something. So hurrah. Well, we did a good one, a good productive one today, and that's great. So for Friday, what are we going to do? I might try to finish that stair turret, and we might try to get that in game. I may also be trying to tweak kind of some of the narrative progression of this tutorial level, because you find a little coin, and then you're supposed to time travel back to a different time in which all these graves are closed up, but your tower is still rebuilt. So we may be trying to work with some actual narrative tools that we have here in the game as well, and that'll be a fun thing to do. So yeah, so tune in on Friday, and we'll see if we can make even more progress on this. This one was encouraging, so I hope you likewise have, or are having, or have had an encouraging day too, and we'll see you on Friday.